This podcast episode may contain explicit material. Listener-viewer discretion is advised. The intention is not to offend, but to provide information. Proceed only if you are comfortable with potentially sensitive content.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Behind the Scenes with Sheriff Jason Ard. I'm Jason Ard. We started this podcast to educate everyone on the role of the Livingston Parish Sheriff's Office. We're about serving and protecting our community. On this podcast, we will tackle lots of topics. Well, good morning, everybody. I am very excited about today's episode. I have one of my captains here, Captain Calvin Bowden. He's been with the Sheriff's Office for quite some time,
yes.
And I'm just so excited to have him here because we're going to be talking about a topic today that I know is extremely important to me, but it's just as important to our community, and they have shown that over the time frame that we have been involved in this. So we're going to be talking about our ICAC program, which is Internet Crimes Against Children, as well as our Sex Crimes Unit, and we where they do all those investigations. So Calvin, thank you for being here today.
Oh, I appreciate the invite.
Yes, sir. So how long you been with the Sheriff's Office?
Just over 27 years.
27 years?
Yes, sir.
Started in jail or uniform?
Started in the jail, then went to uniform.
I thought you was one of the jail guys.
Yes, sir.
I thought so. And and then you was a DARE officer for a little while.
Right.
And went in investigations and tried to talk you out of it. I do remember
That's
that.
right.
And look, man, it's hard to find a good DARE officer.
Yes.
And when you have one, and you were a great one, it's just hard to watch you guys go. But,
right.
you know, you were replaced. I think your shoes were filled a little bit, and some of them brought their own shoes.
That's
so
right.
It was great. And so with that, you worked your way in detectives and become the captain over the entire detective unit.
Yes.
And so I actually pulled Calvin, and we put you in there doing most of our internal affairs investigations,
right.
and all our polygraphs,
right.
things of that nature, and moving through all that to where we are today, actually running these two units. And look, man, you guys have done a fantastic job. And I know I can't wait because I got a few cases that came through that, and you know that they like get me fired up.
Right.
Because I can't believe these people are out there, but they are. And I'm hoping that we can educate our listeners, especially our parents,
right.
and our school system, which we're doing a good job of that. So would you tell me a little bit about ICAC?
So ICAC, the Internet Crimes Against Children, it's a task force that we are a part of with the Attorney General's office, mm-hmm. and the main focus is to work NCMEC tips that come in. NCMEC is the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, and basically, the tips come into the AG's office, and then whenever they deem that it is within Livingston Parish, then those tips are assigned to us, mm-hmm. and we follow up and investigate those particular tips.
Yeah. So when we've been involved in ICAC for almost year and a half now.
Yes.
On the task force.
Yes.
And if I remember right, correct me, but I know the numbers we were like 300 plus tips behind whenever they actually came to us and asked us about joining this task force. And
right.
I was a little reserved. And look, I'm very upfront about it. I'm reserved about any task force that brings our deputies away from Livingston
right.
Parish,
right.
and to other agencies. And it just feels like that we have so much work here. This is a little different. Our agents actually stay here,
right.
and they work our cases and our tips. And what I really liked about the program is the fact that they give you an opportunity, because look, as the sheriff sitting in this parish, you know my reputation. If I
right.
know that we have messed up, we want to correct it.
Correct.
If I know the deputies have dropped the ball on something, it happens. We're human. This tip thing it actually comes back to us.
Right.
So if we do mess up, they call the AG's office and say, hey, somebody dropped the ball on our case. It comes back and gives us that opportunity, and
right.
that's usually when I find out about
right.
it. Well, not anymore.
Right. That's right.
We find out pretty quick, and we're able to get back on that case, because there are times that maybe whatever the rhyme or reason, but we want to make sure we do the best job we can.
Correct.
So how many tips are we behind today?
So whenever you established the task force, it was near 300 tips that Livingston Parish had that we were behind, which prior to our task force, those tips were worked by the AG's office, and they have limited resources, so they basically worked the cases that are the most highest priority.
Right.
So the ones that were less priority got put on a back burner. With us initiating a task force, all those tips were able to come to our investigators, and we were able to work them and also be proactive as well.
Yeah. One of the things that I kind of said something earlier I want to retract of us being behind. Look, it's you have a lot of cases coming in, and we hate to use that term behind, but we get behind.
Right.
Because you have so many agents, but you have a lot more cases. But we do filter through them and try to do what we can to prioritize, and that has to happen.
Right.
But look, and the crew that we have now, we actually started off with one, actually you, and then we added an agent, and then we added another agent in a year and a half, and we just added our third investigator. And and you're doing such a good job. We brought in some of one of our heroes, Chris Hansen.
Yes,
who actually came into town, and we did a sting operation that was fixing to be released. I can't wait for all that stuff to happen, and arrested 11 people.
11, yeah.
And so the way those operations work, because a lot of people may not know. So we get tips on stuff through the internet. We may get tips on several different things like you were saying. But this particular task force also works on what I call proactive.
Yes.
So we actually go undercover on the internet.
Correct.
And we seek out predators.
Right.
And we make, instead of them finding their prey, they actually find us.
Yes.
And I really love that, because those guys are so aggressive. I got to work with you guys. I mean, it was awesome to watch y'all work, and the passion that these deputies have in doing these investigations is unbelievable. You just would have to be there to understand it. And you tune in to Chris Hansen.
Yeah, you get to see it firsthand.
Because he's going to be showing that on his little. It's not little, but his podcast. And I know we've already been featured on Fox News.
Right.
His podcast is at True Blue.
True Blue. Yeah.
And so that'll be coming up pretty soon, and it's just going to be awesome. You better see all that. But we arrested, I think it was 11.
Yes, it was 11 in that particular sting. So basically, you have the undercover deputies go on to the social media platforms. And they say that they're a 14-year-old girl, or
a 14-year-old
boy.
That's right.
But it is known over and over and over that they are underage, and these child predators still seek them out. And not only do they seek them out and send inappropriate material through these social media platforms, but they actually come to the location to meet what they think is a 14-year-old girl.
What was amazing to me was we had at least 3, you correct me if I'm wrong, at least 3 was at the front door within an hour of the conversation.
Yes. So
beginning, am I right about that?
Yes. Three of the 11, whenever the initial contact was made on the social media platform, within an hour of, hey, what's up? Next thing to know, they're walking through the door. That is truly alarming.
Very alarming.
Very alarming.
And also 3 of them were here in our country.
Illegally.
That's right.
Yes.
And it's very, very scary. It was an eye-opener to me. Look, 32 years in law enforcement. How many years you
27.
said? 27. We've seen a lot. Right. You can't say you've seen it all, because in this line of business, you've been here long. Well, you've never seen it all, because every day is a new day. But let me tell you, it is a scary, scary world out there. And I want to get into some cases because I'd love to really educate our listeners on, because I know their first question is, what are y'all doing with these guys? How do we prevent this? How do we keep these predators?
Right.
away from our children. And and there's ways we can do that. One of the things is I'd like to talk about real quick is the grooming of these children. And we actually created, I'm not going to say we, you did, Calvin, you and I think Kyle Hotard, one of your guys, and y'all was able to get with the Attorney General, Liz Murrow, and her crew, and y'all came up with a curriculum that we started teaching to our school system with the parents. So let's talk a little bit about that.
So yeah, we came, whenever you came to me and said, hey, we need to build something to reach out to the community. That was a great idea, and since we've been doing it, it's really took off and gained wings, and everybody's wanting to get a part of it to find out basically how they can protect their children and grandchildren. So basically, the program it gives you different things to look for. Basically, what is out there as a on all these social media platforms that can affect your children, because there are so many dangers, right? So it tells you, basically gives you information to identify what predators are doing, what to look for, basically on behaviors of your child, if their behaviors change, what maybe to look at, and and what to do to combat the problem of the internet predators seeking out the children on the internet.
Yeah. One of the things that I've came to my realization of this whole thing is I don't think kids need cell phones, period.
Right.
Or access to the internet. I mean, it's so scary. And, I've seen and read your curriculum, and I've sat through y'all teaching it, and it's so much information involved, but the stats are amazing to me of just what we found. And look, we've even had people say, well, why are you worried about arresting some guy in another parish?
Right.
Well, because he's coming after our kids in this parish. Right. And our whole goal for this whole thing is to hopefully educate all of us to where they don't want to come in our parish. Let them go somewhere else, but they're not coming to Livingston. And that's this whole thing. But one of the cases that really got me really worked up and mad was the case with the guy from the Dental Springs area. Yeah. You know which one I'm talking about, that was basically raping 11-year-olds.
Right.
Look, folks, y'all really need to, if you tuned out, tune back in, because this is some very, very important information that you need to understand what this guy was doing. If you want to share that.
So basically, he was within our community, and we received the NCMEC tip that he had some child pornography on his applications, website applications. So we started the investigation and got back some subpoenas and some search warrants, and what we seen was very alarming. It led us to 14 different victims, and like 5 different states just pertaining to him. And what he was doing was he would reach out to these young kids, and these were actual victims. These were real people. He was reaching out to them and, just being a friend to them, and then it would lead to being friendly to, hey, send me a picture without a shirt on. Send me another picture. Send me another picture. Well, whenever he would get these pictures, these, like say on some of these platforms, when you send a picture, it has a location, right? Mm-hmm. So he would save all this information. And what he would do is he would contact them back and say, hey, send me some more. And then whenever they would say, look, this is wrong, I'm not doing this, then he would start to extort them and be like, hey, I know where you live. Give the address. And here he is in Denham Springs, Louisiana. They may be in like Maine or something like that.
Yeah, because not all of them, not all the victims in this case was here. The perpetrator was here.
The perpetrator was here. We did have some victims here, but it branched out to many other states. So what he would do was, whenever he would say, hey, I know where you are. If you don't send me another picture, I'm going to come to your house. I'm going to rape you. Mm-hmm. So then the 14, 12, 11-year-old kid feels trapped, so they send more material, right?
Right.
So this was just it just snowballed, and there was so many victims that he did this to. And, you know, we were able to identify a lot of victims that weren't even known to law enforcement. And whenever we contacted their family, the family was like, yeah, that's my daughter, but she's never said anything. And then we have that law enforcement agency reach out and do a forensic interview, and then she discloses, hey, yeah, he's been extorting me for 8 months, and I've been having to send this and that, and I felt like I was trapped, you know, and it happened right there under the parents' nose, and their kid is in distress, and they had no idea about it.
It's crazy. Now this, and I don't know if we said this or not, but this perpetrator was only like 18 years
Yes.
old.
Yes.
We're dealing with a 30, 40-year-old
Right.
person. This was a 18-year-old
Right.
young man that was using the internet. I know, like Snapchat,
Right.
those actually those apps. And look, a lot of times it goes back to us being parents and trying to be more responsible and up in your kids' business.
Got to be in a business.
You need to make sure you know those apps, and location's great for you, but are you turning them off?
Right.
Where other people can't see their locations.
Right.
And that's what's going on. I mean, look, in today's world, we all know that, look, Siri listens to me all the time. She creeps me out. But y'all know we have these conversations, right? Hey, I'm going to go get me a new RV today.
Right.
And next thing you know, I'm getting all
RVs
these
pop
commercials.
up. Yeah.
We know this there is on the backside of our apps. And don't think these predators that sit all day trying to figure these things out don't create those loopholes. And,
for
and they
sure.
seek them out. And look, at the end of that is our children.
Yeah.
And that's what we're going
so you know, studies show that there's 500,000 child predators online daily, just looking for children. You know, and what we want to do is we want to arm all our parents with the information to protect against that, because you know, the internet is a wonderful thing. It gives you a lot of information. You're able to it's like a library at your fingertips. However, these child predators, they use this to their advantage, and they are seeking children on these apps and the internet. And, you know, 2 out of 10 children have been contacted by predators online. And at 2 out of 10, you know, and chances are their parents have no idea about it.
That's what's so scary.
Yes.
They know this, and it's they're just able to get in and groom and manipulate, and it's so scary. I mean, I think I need to start a dad posse with some knives, and let's go on and take this new law of castration and be done with it. And people probably say I shouldn't say that, but it's the truth.
Right.
These are dangerous individuals on our streets. They really are, and they need to be dealt with. And so, you know, I just got back from a conference. I was in Lake Charles, and Chris Masters, I'm sure you don't mind me mentioning his name.
Yeah, Chris is a good guy.
He's the guy kind of been recruiting these task force members, and he wanted to try to get with a couple of sheriffs that's not on this task force, and I think we took care of that.
Right.
To pretty much have the middle district covered where we have more task force members. Because this is, look, at the end of the day, I'm responsible for Livingston Parish, but I also care about my fellow brothers, sheriffs, who have all these parishes that are next to me and throughout this state and throughout this country. There's a lot of kids out there that are getting preyed upon.
Because
it's just scary.
And saying that, having that partnership, just like on our sting that we arrested 11 people, we only had 3 of those that were within our parish.
Yes, that's a good point.
So those were 3 within our parish. So if we're being proactive within our parish and our surrounding parishes are not on board, we're just drawing from their problem.
Right.
So if they can address their problem and we can address our problem, we can put this little field around Livingston Parish and protect our kids and grandchildren even more, you know?
Well, what you need, and hopefully we can continue to get these laws, and the consequences
Yes.
of breaking this law is what I'm about. I mean, look, we work these cases and we work them hard. We have a great relationship with our district attorney.
Right.
We get some good prosecution out of it, and I can't wait for the day that new law comes to pass, because it's going to happen. And look, there's some people out there that are they're monsters.
Oh, yeah,
and
for
they
sure.
do not need to be on the streets. They do not have access to our children.
Right.
And I mean, we've even been around with I mentioned the borderline case.
Right.
I mean, that guy knew he was evil. He told the judge, put me down now.
Right.
And look, it's happening every day right underneath us, and it's so important for our parents. I can't stress this enough, to educate yourself on these devices and the internet and the grooming and things to look for. And look, it's not always a stranger.
No, it's not.
It's not always a stranger.
It's not.
Sometimes it's right there in your house.
Yes.
Sometimes right under your nose. I mean, look, we've had our unfortunate incident here at our office, and we went through hell. Ain't another word to put about it. And we went around looking. How'd we didn't
you miss
know?
it?
How'd you miss this? Well, you wasn't looking for it,
Right.
And you need to be. You need to be looking at everything. You need to do take extra precautions. But look, man, we just have to do a better job, not only in law enforcement, but we have to do a better job as our parents,
Right.
And these agencies around us, and our education system. Look, Jody Purvis, our superintendent, was open arms. Come on, bring this to our principals, and the principals are like burning their phone up after you guys got up and showed this program. And so, look, that's something that we want to continue on, and we want our listeners, we want our community to reach out to us and tell us what your concerns are.
Right.
But this is a very important unit, and we can go on and on with different cases. And my biggest thing with this is making sure that the parents get educated when they need to be educated.
Right.
And you just got to be careful with our kids and these cell phones. And I see it. Look, I see it all the time. I mean, and these little 7-year-olds with a cell phone, and I just wonder, I was like, that 7-year-old have a location on his phone?
Exactly.
I mean, who's he talking to right now? Do they even know who they're talking to? And what kind of an eye opener to me when y'all gave this little your speech to the principals, because I'm not a gamer.
Right.
I know nothing about gaming, but that's how a lot of them are seeked out too.
Yes.
And it's so many different areas of that internet. And you say internet, some people old school like me, I think of, internet. I'm Googling something. That's it.
Right.
But everything's pretty much connected.
Yeah.
nowadays.
Anything that has internet platform versus, for as example, like Xboxes and gaming stations and stuff like that. If they have a platform where they can do chats, predators are there. I mean, there's over 150 apps and games that kids can download on their phones that has chatting ability. Those predators are there looking for those children there as well. Yeah. So if it is attached to the outside internet, predators are there. And, parents need to know that.
Yeah, it's so scary. Look, and you guys, I just want to brag on what y'all do. I know I have some stats here in front of me. And, just in the 2024 ICAC task force, we had, 24 investigation led us to 24 different states, 5 different countries. That's here in little old Livingston Parish.
Yes.
And then over 56 arrests.
Right.
56 arrests.
That's
and
a
just
lot.
24 in child predators. And so, and again, that's not all from here in Livingston, but they're preying upon our children here in Livingston Parish. And then we identified, listen to this. This just amazed me every time I read and I hear this. We identified 45 child victims that no one knew there was a victim.
They were not
their parents
or law enforcement. And
that's just amazing.
To speak to these parents after notifying them that their child was being exploited and was become a victim, to hear the distress in their voice of, how did I not know? This is my kid that stays in my house and I had no idea. You know, that's what we deal with. You know, these parents, they're not bad parents. They're good parents,
Right.
But they just didn't know. And, you know, that's what we got to focus on is open that communication with your child about internet safety and so forth like that. So if they are exploited or someone does try to contact them, they feel comfortable to coming to their parents,
Right.
you know. But yeah, 45 victims that were not known to law enforcement or families, that was something. And to talk to them
scary.
families, it really was, it humbles you.
It does. You know, we just I did a podcast a couple weeks ago with Lieutenant Hickenbotham,
Right.
their officer, and we talked about how we speak to parents. We get up there, we give them these different messages, and one of the things that I stress when I do my speech is the three things. You know, communicating with your kids, get them a good role model, and get them in a
Right.
good Bible-based church. But it's so true, though. I mean, let's take it all out of context. Communication, you said it a while ago, is so important.
Yes.
But again, when you hand a child a device that is connected to the outside world, unless you're hovering over them, you're not seeing what's coming in that outside world. You're opening a door to that predator. And look, and I say it all the time. I don't know how a parent can even be a parent today.
Right.
It's so challenging.
Right.
And the kids, with this open door, also their education level is super, super high compared to us. I mean, when I was 12 years old, I didn't know half the things these 12-year-olds know. I mean,
Right.
they got that 16 and 15 or 16, 17-year-old mind frame because of what they've learned.
Right.
It's
You
crazy.
have, we see it in all these investigations. You have a 30+ year old parent that they think they're schooled in technology real well, you know, and whenever we talk to them about their child being a victim and their 12-year-old brings up the device and they show them, oh, well, this is how you do this and this is how you do that. And the parent thought they were schooled on all that, had no idea, and like, how do you know this? And it was like, hey, we watch YouTube and just scroll online.
It's kind of funny because I'm that guy. I'm that parent. I mean, can you show me how to work this? But one of the things I remember is my daughter. The only way that she would text me right back is if I Snapchatted her. When
Right.
she was in high school. If I sent her a text message, it took an hour.
Right.
But if I sent her a Snapchat, it's like boom, there it
Instant,
was,
yeah.
that quick, instant. But yeah, it's just we can't stress enough to our parents and the guardians over the children to educate yourself.
Yes.
And be careful of what you're allowing to come into your child's life. You know,
Yeah.
it's so important. Look, Calvin, thank you so much for coming today and
Yes, sir.
educating our parents, our citizens, and look, anybody out there that has something they want to hear about, something they want to talk about, help us educate you on anything, let us know. Reach out to us. That's what this is about. So look, I like to have fun with some of these episodes. This one's a very serious one.
Yes, sir. It
Wasn't
is.
a lot of fun, but this is very important to our community to understand what's going on in the real world. Well, that'll do it for Behind the Scenes with Sheriff Jason Ard. We appreciate all of you listening. You can download our app, follow us on social media, and I want to have a special thanks to you, Calvin, again for coming out. And as
Thank you.
always, here in Livingston Parish, we love our schools, we love our churches, and we absolutely believe in the Second Amendment. Be safe.